on your own, late at night, eating Doritos, drinking energy drink, playing against a computer?
Quite a lot of parents now, they actually sit down with the kids and learn together.
A club can offer a different experience and spark interest and fun in your subject area.
I'm quite happy sat at home playing a bit of Monkey Island by myself. Welcome back to Hello World, a podcast for educators interested in computing and digital making. I'm James Robinson, computing educator and extracurricular evangelist.
Hello, I'm Laura Holbrow, a learning manager at the Raspberry Pi Foundation, former computing teacher and a busy working mum. In fact, James, I'm quite looking forward to having this opportunity to sit down and talk to you quietly with our guests this morning. Although I hear we're discussing esports, so perhaps relaxing is not on the agenda and I need my trainers instead.
I hope you bought the right kit, Laura.
I'm not sure about that. As ever, we really value your comments and feedback, which you can share at helloworld.cc/podcast feedback.
And so this week, we really want to delve into some of the many varied extracurricular activities that our learners can participate in, whether it be a coding club, a meetup, a CoderDojo, an esports competition, or something in between. We want to explore the value and benefits of these activities, both for the participants themselves, but also what we as the facilitators get out of them. So, Laura, what's been your experience as a teacher or former teacher of running extracurricular activities?
So as a computing teacher and subject leader for many years before joining the foundation, I have had many experience of running extracurricular clubs for students, ranging from CC4G, Computer Club for Girls, that is showing my age to listeners, or to Cyber Club, where students competed in the cyber discovery competition. Having left teaching fairly recently, I've also decided to volunteer and set up and run a code club at my daughter's primary school. And there's some kind of selfish and non-selfish reasons for doing that. So being a bit selfish, I wanted to keep my toe in the water a little bit in terms of still working with students and being in a school environment. And then on a non-selfish reason is getting to see the students benefit from that code club and getting to experience some of the fantastic resources that there are. In terms of thinking about benefits for after-school provisions, as an educator, it really gives you the opportunity to build some relationships with students. And when I was a subject leader, I found that had a real impact on the uptake of students at GCSE and A-level for my subject. And it's also really good for students who find the formal classroom settings difficult. A club can offer a different experience and spark interest and fun in your subject area. James, I know that you're a former teacher too. What's your experience been of running extracurricular sessions?
Now you're asking me to think back. So I've been out of the classroom now for 8 years or so. And I was thinking about this earlier on and trying to make a little list of the different activities not a computing thing, but I ran a Lego club for a long time, which was just literally playing with Lego after school. But yeah, so I think I've always in my teaching sort of years run clubs of different forms. So we did a Lego League club, we've done various lunchtime clubs, and a sort of computing games club where we built things. I think one year we took part in a pilot to test out some physical computing resources called Gadgeteer. And yeah, I think I've really enjoyed the variety that kind of brings. It kind of, very selfishly, as you say, there's those sort of motivations. Sometimes it allows me to kind of explore a topic without having to do it myself. So like, I've got a server here and I've never played Minecraft. Hey kids, I'm going to set up a server, then you're going to play Minecraft and teach it to me. Or like, let's play with this kit and the kids will explore it, and then kind of I can kind of learn vicariously through their experiences. I've quite enjoyed that. And yeah, since leaving teaching, I've like you, I've sought opportunities to do more of this. So for a few years, I ran a code club in my local school, and then I regularly volunteer at one of the Cambridge dojos, which I really enjoy. It's a really great opportunity to spend time with young people, to build those relationships, to see them outside of a school setting. And I think all of these sort of club experiences, I think there's something really great about kind of fostering a community. And in my current work, that's like very like the local area community. When I was a teacher, I had my little group, my groupies, my little sort of team of computing kind of peeps that would come to my clubs, and we sort of built a really good relationship. And yeah, so there were lots of reasons that I did that. And then again, just another sort of selfish reason was it was a really great way of testing out new ideas and sort of testing my practice in a slightly lower stakes way. So yeah, I think extracurricular clubs are fantastic and really worth everyone spending time and doing and benefit everyone involved. But you don't just have to listen to myself and Laura waxing lyrical about extracurricular clubs. We are joined today by some amazing guests. Our first guest is Lisa Brown. She's an experienced software developer and champion for not one but two CoderDojos in Manchester and Cheadle. Lisa, welcome. Now, you clearly love volunteering for your dojos. Can you tell us a bit about your experience in the dojos you run and why you love volunteering?
Being a software developer, I wanted to introduce my daughter, who was 8 at the time when we first started, to coding. And so we heard about this Manchester CoderDojo that's starting, and we thought we'll go along. And as soon as I walked in, I think I started helping out. Just to begin with, just helping set up the equipment. But there's just so many keen youngsters there who's so interested to learn coding. So it was really satisfying helping out.
Also joining us is Tom. Tom is an experienced teacher as well as one of the leading global voices on esports and education. He has led the development of the British Esports Student Champs and the BTECs in esports. Welcome, Tom. Esports is something that many of us will have heard about, but perhaps not have experienced. What are esports, and how did you originally get involved, Tom?
Hi, thank you for inviting me on. Look, so esports is defined as being organized competitive video gaming, and it's always human versus human. So it's not the stereotypical in your bedroom, on your own, late at night, eating Doritos, drinking energy drink, playing against a computer. This is teams of people playing against other teams of people, exactly as you would in a traditional sport. I got into this not because I'm a massive gamer. I could be classed, I guess, as a retro gamer, playing on Super Nintendo and Sega Mega Drive and things like that 20, 25 years ago. I got into this because I'm still a teacher. I've taught for the last 18 years across the full spectrum of state, independent, and alternative provision in centres. And I got into this because throughout my teaching career, I've wanted to see the thing that's the hook. How do we hook? How do we engage? How do we motivate young people? Now, for some, that is through sport. Through some, that's music. Through some, that's drama. All those different types of things. For a lot of young people now, video games provides that opportunity to motivate and engage. That's why I got into esports. I was teaching in a very tough school in and around Reading, linked to Reading Football Club, and obviously football was the massive hook for a lot of our students. A lot didn't play though, and so I tried to borrow a load of Xboxes from Microsoft, who are obviously based in the Thames Valley, to set up a FIFA club. That's sort of 7 or 8 years ago. I then got and started to work for British Esports, we're the UK's national body for esports. We're not for profit, and I established the pilots then that have led on to the student champs that you've mentioned there. So the student champs now, we're in our 5th year. We've got 580 school and college teams playing on a Wednesday after school in exactly the same way as you do for traditional activities, for traditional sport. So for me, esports allows young people to engage it meets young people where they are. It allows them to follow their passion. It allows them to gain recognition in their school environment for representing their school or representing their college in the same way as we do for the traditional sports teams or for people acting in the play or for people performing in the orchestra. Young people who are into all things digital, all things tech, all things gaming now get that opportunity to do that through esports. We can talk later as well, if you like, about the career pathways, the opportunities that now exist to all things digital, all things tech, all things STEM linked as well. But in essence, esports, organized competitive video gaming, human versus human, team versus team. So young people are developing all the same holistic skills: the teamwork, the leadership, the communication, the decision making, problem solving, strategic thinking. All those things, those holistic character skills that we recognize through traditional team based activities, happen through esports, happen through video gaming.
I think it's really interesting that you're talking about that sense of community with your club, and the fact that that's come across, through all the different types of clubs that we've talked about so far. So that's really interesting, Tom. Thank you.
And I guess a question that I would ask both of you, and I've got some specific questions about esports and the types of games, but I think first of all, let's just think about that community. Who is it that we're sort of attracting to these different kind of experiences? So like in Lisa's case, what kind of young people are we serving through the CoderDojos that you run? Is it a certain age group? Is it quite gender split? What's their sort of the passion that brings them there? What's that hook, as Tom was saying? And similarly for you, Tom, like what kinds of students are we attracting to these kind of experiences? But let's maybe start with Lisa. What are the makeup of your dojos, and what brings the kids there?
Yeah, we mainly have 8 to 14-year-olds, although they tend to bring the sibling comes along, so we do have like 5, 6-year-olds up to 18s. And mainly the parents sees that the kids are really into tech stuff, or they've heard about coding and want the kids to find out about it. But then what the kids come along and they try coding and thought it's amazing, they can create their own games, and that's how they come back. We have sort of 40-60 splits on sort of 40% girls, and it sort of declines as they get a bit older.
And so you sort of suggest there that I think it sounds a bit like the there's a parental kind of involvement there in sort of driving or bringing the ninjas, we call them, don't we, at CoderDojo, like bringing the ninjas along to the dojo sessions. So how important do you think that parental engagement is? Is it easy to engage in a dojo if you don't have parents that are kind of connected to the tech world, for example?
Well, mainly it's just getting the ninjas to the dojo. The parents got to commit time and be and taking them to the dojo. But I find quite a lot of parents now, they actually sit down with the kids and learn together, and I find that's very satisfying that they're learning too. We're building different teaching at different age groups.
How about you, Tom? What kind of young people are attracted into the esports world?
Everyone. It is an open to all, essentially. It's age neutral, it's gender neutral, it's additional need neutral. So you can have young people in wheelchairs playing alongside able-bodied friends in a way that simply other activities simply cannot do. So it's hugely open and hugely welcoming. It's not your stereotypical techie, geeky kids, okay? It is open to all. So, for example, in my school, there is a young man who played in the esports team. He was a sub 24.5 second 200-meter runner. He was a sub 11.5 second 100-meter runner. He's a county tennis player, and he's also in the esports team. So you've got a complete variety of young people. And yes, then there are the young people who are not representing the school or colleges in other activities. In the Overwatch team that we had one year, of the 6 individuals playing in the team, 4 of them didn't represent the school in any other activity. So it is the opportunity to engage a wider demographic of young people who don't necessarily engage with other traditional activities, but are passionate about all things video games, all things esports. This gives them that opportunity that doesn't currently exist for them. So that said, I think it's important to say that it's still a male-dominated space, as unfortunately, the tech industry is, and so there's still a lot that is happening, and a lot that needs to be done around equality and diversity as well.
before we move on, because you've mentioned in your discussions here like two different games. So you mentioned FIFA and you mentioned Overwatch. Now, I'm not going to pretend to be across like the latest kind of trends in gaming. I'm quite happy sat at home playing a bit of Monkey Island by myself, that kind of thing, right? So, how much does the game itself drive that engagement? It does that is and what kind of games are being played? Are they kind of shoot 'em up style games, or are there other kind of games in the mix that might appeal to different groups?
So in terms of different games that young people are playing, there are different genres of esports, exactly like there are different genres of music or different genres of film. And there are about 40 different video games titles that are known as esports because they allow this human versus human, team versus team competition. So there are different genres. So the MOBA games, the multi-online battle arena games. There's the battle royale games like Fortnite, for example, or PUBG. Sports-based games, obviously like FIFA and Rocket League, and then the FPS, the first-person shooter games like Overwatch, like Call of Duty, like Rainbow Six. There are age ratings for these different games in exactly the same way there are for film. Those age ratings exist for video games as well. So it's very important for educators and for parents to understand that, and the typical maybe tabloid headline of my 9-year-old son's addicted to Fortnite. Well, Fortnite's got an age rating of 12, so 9-year-olds parents shouldn't be allowing 9-year-olds to play Fortnite, for example. These are all considerations that parents, educators, youth leaders have got to understand when it comes to esports. It's worth mentioning that in the same way that with traditional sport, I might say I love football. I don't really like rugby. I'm not interested in rugby. It's exactly the same with esports. And you'll get individuals liking one title and not being interested in anything else, or might be interested in one genre of esports, but absolutely is not interested in seeing it, in watching anything else. In the same way as I've just said, I will happily sit and watch football. Do I want to go to an athletics tournament or go and watch snooker? Absolutely no, thank you very much. Okay, it's the same thing with esports. People have their passions. People follow their teams, follow their games, follow individual players of those games, and so that channels the passion, channels the interest that way.
So Lisa, Tom's talking there about like sparking an interest and particularly focusing on particular parts that students really enjoy. What do you think makes your students want to come back to your dojo sessions?
We in our dojo, it's not like a classroom. We have different spaces running different events, different type of exercise. So you've got a space for learning Scratch. You've got a space for learning Python. We got a physical computing area. We've got Lego robots. So every time they come, they can decide on the day what they want to do. So sometimes they feel like building Lego, and that's all they do. But they get to program it after, and then they can chop and change while they're there. So I think every time they go, they experience different way of learning coding. So it's not the same every time.
And I guess that element of choice is very different from the formal classroom setting that they might be used to in terms of their computing education. So, so that freedom is probably a great selling point.
Yeah, I think the parents want to treat them like in the classroom, but we deliberately set it up like a youth club, just because they sit down and learn all week, so it's time to make it fun.
And I guess as well, like you can bring different levels of sort of structure and support depending on the learner's needs, right? If they want complete agency and choice, then you let them. But if they want a bit more of a facilitated choice, you might have to have a bit more of a conversation about, well, what are you interested in? What kind of things do you like? Would you like to go and do this? That's certainly the kind of the nature of some of the conversations that we have at our dojo as well.
Yeah, and there's lots of worksheets, work examples available on the Raspberry Pi website. So if they want to learn at their own pace, they can just pick an exercise they're interested in, and yeah, do it their way.
So both of you are sort of running different extracurricular activities, and obviously we've all talked a little bit about our experience. What do you think are some of the challenges that that volunteers, educators, parents might face when trying to get involved or start up, an extracurricular activity? Now, we could talk generally, or specifically about about CoderDojos, about code clubs, or about esports clubs. What are the challenges, and how do we overcome them? And I'm going to go back to Lisa first on that one.
I think looking for venue. CoderDojo is free, so you really need a venue that will provide their space for free. That's got Wi-Fi, ideally. And I think people worry about having volunteers, but I find that they do appear when it starts up, so that's not an issue. I find that I've got parents coming from quite a distance to come to our dojo because there aren't any near them. So my recommendation is, if you're thinking about starting one, then do seriously think about it.
And perhaps come along and visit your dojo and see how it's done, or get some inspiration and talk through some of the practicalities, right?
Yeah. I mean, do feel free to contact me if you want to come along or just have a chat.
Yeah. And if Manchester is not in your locale, then there are CoderDojos all around the world that you can go and visit, and they're all very, very friendly and welcoming. Tom, similar. I mean, one of the questions, I guess, for the esports kind of, I mean, it's the same kind of question I think for dojos, but equipment, licensing, gaming, like there must, there are some costs associated with all of these kind of activities. What does that look like in the esports world? What are the challenges there?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, kit is the main barrier for participation in schools and colleges. I naively thought when I first got into this, we've got rooms full of PCs at school. This is going to be easy. Whereas in reality, the vast majority run off central graphics servers rather than having discrete graphics cards in machines themselves. Now, for institutions and centres where they're running games design courses, creative media courses where they're using, Photoshop, Adobe Suites, and all that sort of stuff, it's okay. But for the vast majority, certainly of secondary schools, they don't necessarily have the machines that are powerful enough to do this. So that is a real barrier, and it's not a question of saying to senior leadership teams of schools, can you give us an extra however many tens of thousands to upgrade our PC suites to be able to play video games. It's not about that, but hopefully over time, as we are trying to develop future ready skills, future ready citizens, we need to have the equipment that allows those young people, allows us as teachers to develop those skills in young people. It gives them access to the software, the hardware, the packages that they need to be using. But if we haven't got machines in schools that allow us to do that, well, we're shooting ourselves in the foot anyway. So anyway, the whole kit issue is a much wider conversation around what schools have and do not have access to, essentially. So there's that aspect of it. Then there is a barrier still. There are certain misconceptions and preconceptions around video gaming and the screen time and things like that we do have to address. There is issues around online safety that we need to be very cognizant of. At British Esports, we very much do promote balance and moderation. This is not the only thing that young people should be doing. It's one of many things that young people should be doing or have access to in their time. Because it is a social activity, you're doing it with your friends, you're doing it with other people. It is actually very positive for your mental health in terms of interaction with other people, being with friends, even if it's an online environment. So when we're feeling quite bullish, it's when we speak to parents is, do you want your child sitting down watching passive media on a screen, or watching YouTube clips of cats or repeats of Celebrity Love Island, or are you happy with them playing with their friends in a team environment where they're communicating with each other and having fun with friends? That's the sort of way we try and pitch it, if you like, but in balance, in moderation, as part of a healthy, balanced lifestyle.
So, Tom, when I started to run my club at my daughter's primary school, I approached the head teacher and I kind of volunteered to set up and run the club. And, there was no hesitation on their part at all. They were obviously really keen for that to happen. Their only reservation was, what extra support are you going to need in terms of a member of staff or a volunteer that's going to help? And my question to you kind of is, what kind of skills or experience do you think your volunteers or teachers need to run these esports clubs?
Sure. It could be anything. You could get people who are massive gamers themselves, members of staff who are massive gamers, who think this is the best thing in the world. Why didn't? And the thing that we get a lot is, I wish I had this when I was at school. I wish I had these opportunities. And so in the same way that different staff follow their own passions in school in terms of running clubs and extracurricular things, I'm a passionate sports fan myself, and sports player, traditional sports. So I've always coached cricket. I've run golf teams. I used to work in outdoor education. So I've taken school trips to Mongolia, to Namibia, to Venezuela. I now run esports. Some of it is following your own passions. Some of it is actually seeing how you can engage young people and wanting to give those young people that opportunity. Even if you're not the expert, even if you don't know really much about that area, you want to facilitate that for the young people. This is where esports and video gaming can cause issues, because the young people know a lot more than the vast majority of adult staff. And so if as a member of staff you are comfortable and confident being a facilitator, not being an expert, then that's absolutely fine. If you're facilitating experiences from the young people, you're giving them leadership opportunities to run this themselves, you're just facilitating it in that environment. So there are a huge range of different people. You could even get external people coming in the same way you get external people coming in to coach football or coach rugby and work with school teams that way. The same thing can also happen with esports as well. So in terms of senior leaders and things like that as well, if we can get them beyond the point of it seeing it as being just video gaming and look at the opportunities that exist to engage, to motivate the young people, that's when we're having real success with senior leaders and the decision makers in and around education, when they can look beyond it being screen time and video gaming.
And Lisa, similar question, I think, for you. Like, certainly our experience at the dojo is that the volunteers that come have a real variety of skills, and the dojo needs that, right? What kind of skills are your volunteers bringing? Are they all really technically minded, or excellent at facilitating things, or like what does that sort of skills mix look like?
Most of our volunteers are developers or working in the tech industry. When you're helping the kids, you don't necessarily need to know how to code. It's sort of more a listening skill. Um, you know, they've got a problem, and just by listening, by them talking through the problem with you, they normally solve the issue by themselves. We do get a lot of students who want to learn about what to give back.
Yeah, I think that point about just being able to listen, and because we have some really young kids come to our dojo, like 5-year-olds, and sometimes it's just having an adult that can read some of the text or the instructions is enough, and or just sort of help them navigate tabs on Windows. Those kinds of things are really, really useful. And then what about the sort of the admin side, right? Because there's a lot of like advertising and promoting and ticketing and all of that kind of thing. Do you handle all of that yourselves, or do you, as in you, or do other volunteers within your dojo help out with that as well?
I do handle it by myself, but now after 10 years, it's sort of quite autonomous now. So it's learning how to use a ticketing system, answering emails, because we get a lot of parents just finding out. So, oh, we just found out about CoderDojo. Can you tell us? So there's a lot of that.
Lisa, that might sound a bit daunting for somebody who might be wanting to set up, a club for their first time. What kind of support is available for somebody who might be interested in starting a club like yours?
The CoderDojo website has got a lot of resources for helping you to start. I think there's quite a few videos and tutorial courses. So, and obviously just email somebody or email me, and we'll be there to help.
Tom, I guess similar question for those looking to start in the world of esports. What support's available for them?
Absolutely. Look, I would 100% suggest you go and visit our website, britishesports.org. Huge range of different advice and guidance around if you're looking to work in schools or colleges, both on the competitive side of esports through the student champs, or whether you're looking at academic courses through things like the BTEC, for example. There's lots of information there about career pathways and different opportunities within the esports industry itself. Lots of advice to parents, to different community groups. We've done lots of work in different areas now. For example, the Duke of Edinburgh's award, you can have esports. If you play for your school esports team, you can have esports signed off as a skill as part of your Duke of Edinburgh's award, for example. We've done work with alternative provision settings. We've done a project with cops versus the police, cops versus kids, sorry, in North Yorkshire, where we popped up an esports venue in an area in North Yorkshire for the police to work alongside the local kids in the community to host games, and so broke down barriers that the young people on the estates that the police, the community officers were working on, saw the police in a different light because they were sitting down with them playing video games. There's huge opportunities here to use esports as a vehicle to develop all sorts of holistic skills and develop holistic knowledge, to do good things, essentially, to use the power and use the interest that lies behind esports and video gaming as that vehicle, as the hook to motivate and engage young people.
Okay, so Tom, could you give us some information about what kind of future opportunities you think clubs like yours offer students?
So in the same way that traditional sports clubs offer potentially a small, very small minority the opportunity to go on to become professional players, the same thing happens in esports. There will be a very small minority of young people who go on to become professional esports players. We've just had that happen. One of the students who played in the championships a couple of years ago has just been signed by a professional team. However, the main opportunity is around the career pathways that this then opens up. In the esports industry, yeah, absolutely. But also then in the wider linked industry, the STEM industries, the digital, the creative industries. So, for example, the video game industry is worth more on an annual basis than the film industry and the music industry combined on a global basis. So when parents or when teachers just look at it, oh, you're video gaming, waste of time. Well, actually, no, you're not. It's not a waste of time. The industries that now and the career pathways that are now open for young people who have a passion about video games and all aspects of video games, as I said, linking to STEM, linking to digital, linking to creative skills, the opportunities are huge.
Thanks. And Lisa, similarly with your dojo, what's been your experience of, like, what does this sort of bring, and how does it impact upon your ninjas' kind of career paths and aspirations? What's that look like for you?
Yeah, because we've been going for 10 years, the ninjas I'm in touch with, quite a lot of them have gone on to technical jobs. So I think we've got a guy who's software developer, and he's over in New York. Certainly, a lot of them are doing STEM subjects in universities and things. So yeah, it's lovely to see that we sort of ignited a passion that they've taken on to their future careers. So.
And I guess there's that exposure on a regular basis to industry professionals like yourself who can act as role models and sort of talk a bit more about what you do in your day job, right?
Yeah, and to see that, we're quite normal human beings, not a geeky nerd that we get portrayed on medias.
Yes, absolutely. Although I think we can all embrace our geeky, nerdy personas from time to time. I think there's more to us than just that. I think, yeah. Well, thank you both for the conversation today. I found it really fascinating, really interesting, and I think I'm really inspired to go and to visit some more dojos and to investigate whether I can be an esports champion. So if you've been listening to our episode today and have questions or comments about our discussion, then you can email us at podcast@helloworld.cc, or you can tweet us at helloworld_edu. My thanks to Lisa and Tom for sharing their time, experience and expertise with us today, and we'll be back in 2 weeks' time with more fantastic guests. So, Laura, what did we learn today?
We learned how extracurricular clubs can help foster local communities. We learned the range of types of extracurricular clubs that are available and are on offer. And we learned what impact extracurricular clubs can have on young people.
And I learned that I didn't need to bring my kit.